name is Andrea Spencer-Lindsay, and I'm the Executive Director of the New Jersey Coalition Against Sexual Assault. I became involved with NJCASA because I believe in it. I believe in its mission. I'm energized by its mission in its work towards advocacy for survivors and their loved ones, and their work to reach out and work collaboratively with other entities and people in the communities around sexual violence, and really most importantly to work towards the elimination of sexual violence, so that we're not working just to intervene when something does occur, but to prevent it from happening in the first place.
I become involved with NJCASA essentially as a prosecutor, and really kind of reaching out, taking the multidisciplinary approach that we all like to take in these kinds of cases, to be able to partner with advocacy to make sure that our victims get the full amount of services that they really deserve. And NJCASA has been doing an excellent job both in the issue of advocacy. They've been a very strong voice for victims. They've been very strong on the legislative scene, doing all they can to advocate for victims, for the best interests of victims in the state.
Primary prevention is to make sure that sexual violence doesn't occur in the first place. In most of what's been happening in the sexual violence movement, we've been doing secondary and even tertiary prevention. And that is, we've been telling people what to look for, how to protect themselves, what to do once it occurs. It's time to step back and say, how do we make it stop?
I'm a part of the anti-sexual violence movement because of my experience with childhood sexual abuse. I became involved with NJCASA through my advocacy work on behalf of those sexually abused by Catholic priests, and of my own personal involvement in the sex abuse crisis of the Catholic Church. I'm still involved because I was invited to become part of NJCASA, and because of the importance of its mission for our society.
NJCASA played an instrumental role in the formation of the statewide Start Sane program. They were there right from the beginning, in the planning stages, into development of the program, and then into the implementation of the program in each of the 21 counties. I think it was the influence of NJCASA and its member programs, as well as the Division on Women, that really kept us to be a victim-centered program.
As a statewide coalition, we have the opportunity here to see the bigger picture of what's going on around sexual violence across the state.
It comes when everyone plays an active role in keeping everyone safe. That's how we can help end sexual violence.
Our laws and the legal process, should not be one that re-victimizes a survivor. But as a society, we need to recognize the need to change or affect the laws that can help a victim further their healing.
I think that we can't do the work without each other. I think that the local programs are the pulse of what is happening in the state and what is happening with survivors, and we're in the trenches. And I think that NJCASA helps us look more broadly at the issue of sexual violence and at the bigger scale of creating large change.
When you work one-on-one with survivors, you really can see the depth of the problem and how deeply this affects people.
I started here at the Coalition in 2001, and I've seen remarkable change in that time. It's from the time I started working here to today, there's just an energy that has been building and building and building that's about to explode, and people are just not going to put up with it anymore.
How to end violence, sexual violence? Well, first of all, information, education, awareness are keys. You know, it's an insidious thing. It's a secret. The victims are often made to feel that they're the ones who are guilty. They're made to feel they should keep this horrible secret, and the perpetrators get away with it. And part of the problem is that the family doesn't support the victims. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced.
How can we end sexual violence? It's akin for me. How do we end all forms of oppression. How do we end racism? How do we end homophobia? Something very different has to happen in the education and the acculturation of boys and men. We have to begin to look at the sources, and not in a negative way. I don't think that, you know, little boys are born with the wish to be violent against women or to rape women or to sexually harm women, but I do think that there are issues in our culture that have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed for men and by men primarily.